Morning, friends. Good morning. So I have no idea what time it is. It's 9 something my time, which means back home in Minnesota it's like, I don't know, 3:45 in the morning. 3 something. I think I left just around 9:30 my time. Anyway, I'm on the trail. Right now, I'm just kind of going through this quiet, off the road, just me and a whole lot of weeds, whatever those are. At the right time of day, they could be some shade, but right now it's just bright and sunny, which I know in Minnesota you understand the warm weather right now, from what I hear. So I thought I'd come in and just do a little live video. I feel like I haven't visited with you for a while, so I thought I'd come share and chat briefly on the Camino. So today is day 3. My first day was 12 miles, I think. My second day yesterday was 14 and a half. And today should be an easy day, somewhere between 11 and 12. So that'll feel good. And then tomorrow is my first bigger day. It's 21. But then I have a day off because I'll be in Santarem tomorrow night for 2 nights. I have a day off, and then I have 60 miles over the 62 miles over the 3 days after that. So today should be an easy day, and despite my body still not being acclimated, seriously, when I went to bed last night just after 11 because I had set my alarm, which is late for me anyway, but my body still is like thinking it's super early. 6 hours ahead is my time zone back home, or I'm 6 hours ahead here rather. And so 11:15 I went to bed and I set my alarm for 7:45, I think. So I had 8.5 hours that I could have slept, but my body thought it was nap time because 11:15 back home is only 5:15 p.m. and so a short nap and I was wide awake. And then I got a couple more hours, and by about 4 a.m. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do a little writing. I'll do some stretching. I'll take care of this body. And then I dozed maybe an hour until about, kind of off and on dozing until around 8 o'clock. And then I said, you know what, we're gonna put some sun in these eyes and get our circadian rhythm. Maybe we can help it along, get back on track. So despite another interesting night of sleep, I was able to eat more this morning, which if you're not sleeping because of the time change, what I've noticed is that when I go down for breakfast, if I am on the old time clock, an 8:30 a.m. here is 2:30 a.m. back home, and who wants to eat at 2:30 in the morning? Not me. And my body was feeling that, so I'd had a little less to eat in the mornings than I probably should. Not even true. I had way less to eat in the mornings than I really should at all, because when you're doing this kind of walking, my total calorie burn is around 3,500 to 3,700 calories a day. So obviously I need to up my calorie intake. You know, energy, movement, availability. Like at some point, if things don't shift, does the body get too depleted? I don't know. I'm trusting that my body is super smart and she's brilliant. She's gonna figure it out. It's a train. going by. So I'm trusting that she's going to figure it out. And in the meantime, I'm going to nurture her and do everything I can to help her figure it out. And this morning, so despite last night, despite the last few nights, this morning I was able to eat. The first few bites were not very tasty, but I made it through, and they had hard-boiled eggs. So I made actually like an egg salad sandwich on a croissant, which that was a nice change. Some delicious fruit. I had some turkey. So I feel pretty good. And in this pack back here, right on top, I have a delicious local pear waiting for me, and I have a chocolate croissant waiting for later. So what I've also learned is that because hadn't been eating right away in the morning, I need to have something on hand that I can stop and just consume when I need it, to kind of push me through and keep me going. So that, along with my 2 Nalgene's of water, one of them has the electrolytes in it, and then the other one is plain water. Those are on my side. I don't know if you can see that back there. Maybe not. I don't know. So, which by the way is added weight. I've learned that too. One of the reasons my pack gets a little lighter during the day is because I'm drinking my water like a good girl, so that's good. So a lot of the things that I worked on and practiced in my training have really been paying off, because I can notice signs now when I'm getting queasy, or when I need to be eating or drinking a little more or having some electrolytes, and none of that has happened. So I feel really, really delighted about that. Hi Sylvia, how are you, girl? Nice to see you here. It's so early for you, isn't it? So early for you. I mean, I was up at that time, my time, but anyway, so it's been interesting, and I'm really happy with how my body is showing up, and I do believe a lot of it is energy and mental and mindset work. So despite not getting more than 3 or so hours of sleep each night, I'm still able to make it, and so I'm excited. Today should be pretty good. Should be a pretty easy day. And what's really interesting is yesterday, so I'm going to tell you a couple quick stories and then I will move on. 4 a.m., haven't gone to bed yet. Oh God, honey, me and you both. Me and you both. Last night was an interesting journey. I was writing at 4 a.m. So make sure you get some sleep. So I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories. One of them, I think, I'm writing a book out of this journey, and I don't know exactly what the book is going to be yet. So I'm taking all kinds of notes and just writing all the things that come to me. And I had a thought of maybe it's 40 blessings, because part of this book is around a 40-day program that I created and ran a number of years ago. It was awesome, by the way. And so I wondered, is it 40 days of blessings? But then who decides what the blessing is, right? Is it just my perception of a blessing? Is it someone has to tell me? So I'm not sure. I'm still, thinking through that. But yesterday, the reason it came forward is on my way out of town and rejoining the trail, I stopped because, again, my belly hadn't allowed me to really eat much. So about an hour after leaving, maybe a little longer, I stopped at a little cafe, and really, really long story short, there was a giant language barrier, and my Google Translate wasn't working because my data wouldn't work in this one little spot. I had to go back out and come back in, and it was a whole thing. And one of the women kind of threw her hands up in the air, took the menu, and walked away. And then another gal, younger gal, came over, and she tried to speak to me in Portuguese, and she just giggled. So bless her for just kind of giggling through it, and I giggled, and then this guy came over, and he's like, "Lady, you want eat? And I said, sí. And I nodded. And he said, and I said, agua, por favor. And he made a motion for small, and he made a motion for big. And I went really big. So we had that going for us, right? So we're getting there. So a big water. And then I said, un café con leche, a coffee with milk. And I may have been just chatting to, oh, there's my sign, okay. I'll show you this sign up here. I was like, oh my gosh, where's the road going? So I said coffee with milk. I knew how to say that because I've been practicing on Duolingo. And then I said y como. Como is eat, right? So I said
total distance 1 mile.
Moment.
Total time 22 minutes and 35 seconds.
Okay, pause the story
Split
1 sec.
pace 22 minutes 35 seconds per mile.
I'm going to turn this around so you can see what happens. So as I'm walking, hi friend. Those little yellow arrows make me so happy. Oh, look at that. Bom Camino, Alberto 2024. Nice. So that means good Camino, like bien Camino. Very nice. Those markers making me very happy every time I see them. Anyway, so I said como, and I walked over to the display case, and there was a piece of cake in there. And so we were winning now, right? Between that guy and this young gal who was giggling, the three of us felt like we totally freaking won. It was awesome. So I have my water, my big water. I have my cake, and I have my coffee on its way. And I get up from my chair and I walk out the front door to use my Google Translate, and I ask the gal, but in Google Translate I say, I'm sorry, I'm learning Portuguese. I'm sorry it was so difficult. And I showed her my phone, and she looked at me and she smiled, and she took my phone from me and she flipped it, Portuguese to English, and she said, no problema, no problem. And then she gave me a big hug, and she said, my English, not so good. Right in my eyes, like she looked right at me in my eyes, my English, not so good. And I looked at her back and I said, my Portuguese, very bad. And we laughed and giggled, and we had a moment. And it was this precious, like it makes me emotional thinking about it, because it was this precious exchange of, now we're communicating despite a giant language barrier, right? Like we get each other, we get to see each other. And I was so concerned that I was causing such an issue, and she wasn't worried about it at all. You know, but it was this moment of, it was great. So we hugged, it was fantastic. And then at the end I paid, and I was explaining to her through my phone, through Google Translate, about the Camino, and that I'm walking this, and that some places like to put stamps on my passport. I'll show you that later. And she frantically started looking for a stamp. And at one point I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. And she looked up at me as she's looking, and she put her hand up and she said, wait. Which, she knew that word very well in English, wait. And she kept looking and looking, and then all of a sudden her eyes got really big, and she looked at me and she smiled really big. She pulled out a little tiny box. There was a stamp on the inside, and she was so proud of that stamp. And I don't know, I can guess what that means to her, but human connection, friends. It's all about human connections, and it was amazing to feel that connected despite such a giant language barrier, right? So that was a fun little story. I was going to tell you a second one, and now I can't remember what that would have been. Oh, I remember. That was a short-lived non-remembering. So the second story. So in the middle of the night, as I'm awake and, doing my best to sleep and go through all the things, I had this moment of clarity, and I wrote it down. And I believe how I wrote it down was, The truth reveals itself when it has nowhere else to hide. I think that's how I wrote it down. I'll have to look now. When there's nowhere left to hide, the truth reveals itself, which is really interesting, and I think that can apply to so many things. And out here on the trail, like, I feel like my job right now is to walk, recover, eat, repack, take in this wisdom that I'm being given, and do the best I can. It feels like you're pulling back all the curtain, and like things will just reveal themselves. When there's nowhere left to hide, the truth has to come forward. It has to. It has to. So it isn't, what's coming forward for me now is, it isn't about seeking the truth, right? It's about removing the barriers that are attempting to hide that truth. So just like love, it isn't about seeking the love. It's about removing the barriers attempting to block love from coming your direction. And only we know what those are for us personally, right? And that could be anything, and it could come forward in a variety of ways. But that came up for me in the middle of the night, and then remembering, like, when we're squeezed. So in the middle of the night, when I'm feeling squeezed, that I'm not sleeping, and I'm having moments and wondering, what's this going to do for my day tomorrow? And am I going to be able to eat? And what does all of this look like? How I respond to those questions, that's what's really the deep within, right? So that's where the work gets to be done. Because if I'm not responding in compassion and kindness and grace and love, then I have personal work to do, right? And I'll tell you, in all honesty, it's gotten a lot better. And also, I still have moments, right? I still have moments where I get annoyed and sad and frustrated and angry, and I want, I just want it to be better or easier. But that really isn't the way, is it? I mean, the way is pausing and leaning and practicing and having a moment and coming back to present, because in the present, my feet are moving. Right now, I'm doing it. Right now, it's just one foot in front of the other, and here we go. So that's what I have. That was way longer than I anticipated. Let me see if I can see your comments. Sylvia, the truth reveals itself where there's nowhere else to hide. Yeah, I'll have to see. I think that's how I said it. It felt so brilliant in the morning. Now it's telling me I have a slow connection, but I'm going to bed. Oh, why can't I can't pull these up. I'm so sorry. So for whatever reason, I can't scroll and see the rest of my comments. I'm so sorry. I will take a peek at those. Oh, there's some of them. Oh, nope, and then they go away. I'm going to bed after I get off here. Oh, honey, get some sleep. Yes, go, get some sleep. I know there's more comments in there, so I'm sorry I can't see all those. Anyway, we'll be back on later. I hope you have a fantastic day. And if you're watching this on the replay, come say hello, ask questions, share your thoughts. I would love to hear what truth is trying to reveal itself, but you're not letting it come forward yet. There's our wisdom for the day. Okay, back to walking. Take care. Love you all. Bye, my friends. I think, oh, there we go. Now I can say goodbye. All right, bye, my friends.